I've been talking to Brian all night. Yeah, I don't know.
We're live.
All right, we are live. Welcome to everyone to the, let's see, July 13th business meeting of the Grosse Township Board of Trustees. It is 7:38. We're doing pretty well to get started through some technical difficulties. I will call the meeting to order. The entire board is present. We will conduct business as published. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America.
And to the
republic
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will begin our meeting. Start with additions or deletions to tonight's agenda, and we'll begin with you, Mrs. O'Connor.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add an item called block party to the consent agenda. And adding to that item, it was approved by, I guess I need a second.
Support.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
The permit was already approved by the police and fire chiefs. We're just wanting to add a reminder that in addition to the limits in the permit, that the organizers also have to remember to follow any of the relevant executive orders that put in place during the public health emergency. So as we were discussing earlier, physical distancing, masking, etc.
Okay, very good. Any other comments on this addition to tonight's consent agenda? If none offered, those in favor of adding the request for the block party to tonight's consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Any other additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
Hey, Brian, real quick. Carl, for some reason, is not on now. So he's going to get Brian Friel to get him back on.
Okay, I'll get him.
All right, who's off?
Carl.
Oh, dropping like flies here. Somebody take his temperature.
Thank you. Brian Friel's in there now.
Okay. Probably not taking his temperature.
Probably not. He's in.
I'm looking.
No?
Nope.
All right.
Well, while he's getting back on, there are no presentations scheduled for tonight. At this time, we can open it up to brief public comment for tonight's. We do have a big agenda tonight, so brief public comment on tonight's agenda items. But if Mr. Friel isn't on, we can't open it up because he's the. So maybe we'll just wait for a minute. Let's see if there's a way I can. This could be a long meeting.
Brian's on his way back upstairs. Carl's on.
All right, I'm looking.
Hold on, I gotta let him in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Carl is in.
Beautiful.
I'm still looking for him and I don't. Okay.
Maybe his video's not on.
Bottom
Okay.
left.
Is he too close to me, Brian?
No, he's fine. He just needs to turn his video on. He unmuted himself. Now he just needs to turn video on.
My internet connection is unstable.
Well, he's on, you can hear, so we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Okay, Carl, as long as you can
we
hear.
don't have- Yeah, we don't have to continue.
Okay, with that, Brian, now that you're back, we'll open up to brief public comment and you can allow public comment.
Okay, I mean, I've got one, two, three, I've got about 15 or so people in here. So I guess I guess for this one, I guess we'll just ask, is there anyone that would like to have any public comment? And then we'll,
Okay, this is restricted to tonight's agenda.
just to tonight's meeting agenda, and that is it.
Any takers?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, with none offered,
I'll go deal with Carl.
move on to tonight's consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to look for approval of consent agenda 20-014, which consists of the minutes of the June 22nd, 2020 regular meeting, check registers dated through July 10th, 2020.
Not too
and
close to
approval
him,
of
because it comes up
process
Jim
of
Nelson.
payment.
Well, he's just moving around there. I mean, you're on here, but let's see if we can get,
Guys, mute your mic.
there we go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good. Continue, please. Ted.
Okay, approval to process and distribute payments through July 31st, 2020. And Uta, would you repeat your ad? I didn't.
It is adding a request for a permit for a block party.
Okay.
I'll
with that,
support.
On Potawatomi Drive.
So, motion by Ms. O'Connor, seconded by Trustee Budny. Those in favor of, where are we?
Motion was by Ted Van
Yeah,
Os.
okay, I'm sorry. I'm moving along here. Motion by the treasurer, seconded by Trustee Budny to approve the consent agenda 20-014. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, with that, let's move on to tonight's, and we have 10 action items tonight. So move on to tonight's action items. Millage renewal for the recreation program. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to make a motion to have a millage renewal for the recreation program.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Nelson, seconded by Trustee Budny.
Okay, let me read the paragraph. Shall the expired previously voted increase in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Municipal Constitution in Grosse Township, 0.50 mils per $1,000 of taxable value, reduced to 40.4954 mils per $1,000 of taxable value by the required millage rollbacks be renewed at 0.954 mils per thousand of taxable value and levied for the period of 5 years from 2021 through 2025 inclusive to provide funds to the operation of the township recreation programs, raising an estimated $317,000 in the first calendar year the millage is levied. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. And we have some supporting documents which will be applicable to all the millage requests that follow this one. The rec millage obviously pays for a lot of the recreation that we don't get through enterprise. Yeah, Ms. O'Farrell, do you have anything to add on the rec millage? I don't want to, Kim.
I had to get my mute off. For all the residents watching, the millage is extremely important to our operating budget. All the things that were done in the past that brings us to the future, Island Fest, the farm, the golf course, everything that we try to offer to the community, programs, everything. I know things are very limited right now with COVID, but the millage means more now than anything with the budget restrictions that we have going through COVID. So just asking the residents to really take a look at that. Recreation is very vital to our community. It raises property values. It brings a community together. I can't think of a city or a town that doesn't have a rec department. If they don't, They do have a strong park system. So it's just validity to the entire township. And hopefully we're serving everybody in the capacity that we can within our limits. So just reaching out to the community, it's so important that we keep this going. So, and I'll do everything I can to provide for our residents. So.
Brian, two other things.
Yeah, Mr. Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
The millage is being put on the
November
2020 ballot to avoid a special election in 2021, which saves us money by not having to run a special election in 2021. And
that's about
also,
it.
I guess I just said this, but to approve the attached ballot language to appear on the November 3rd, 2020 election.
Okay, well. All right, well, that is the ballot language then. So millage renewal, obviously we have to let a millage expire before we can renew it. Otherwise we have two millages, which
Correct.
is why it's worded that way. And any other discussion, comments, questions on the millage renewal? Okay, none offered. With that, shall the expired previously voted increase in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Grosse Township, 0.5 mils, that's 0.5 per thousand of taxable value, reduced to 0.4954 mils, which is 49.54 cents per $1,000 taxable value by the required millage rollbacks, be renewed at 0.4954 mils and levied for a period of 5 years to provide funds for the operation of a township recreation program, raising an estimated $317,000 in the first calendar year of the millage is levied. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. Kim, you must be doing a good job. That passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Save those, trustees, save those those levy sheets and value sheets in case you need to reference them in the next request. So we'll go on to a millage renewal for fire department equipment. I'll ask Mr. Malvesto to bring that aboard, please. Tom?
The recommendation is millage renewal for fire department equipment.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Malvesto, seconded by, actually, you should read the whole thing and then support.
I will. Shall the expired previously voted increase in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Grosse Township, 0.5 mils or 50 cents per $1,000 of taxable value, reduced to 0.4995 mils or 49 cents, I'm not going to read, per 1,000 of value by the required millage rollbacks, be renewed at 0.4954 mils, which is 49.54 cents per thousand, and levied for a period of 5 years from 2021 through 2025 inclusive to provide funds for the acquiring of fire vehicles and other necessary fire equipment, raising an estimated $317,000 in the first calendar year the millage is levied.
Okay, so we've moved by Trustee Malvesto, seconded by Trustee Budny. There is what type of the actual reduction through Headley is 0.4954. The 0.4995 is an error, but just to clarify, it is 0.4954 mils. 49, as Tom said, 49.54 cents per $1,000. And for the same reasons, to put on the November ballot as opposed to having to pay for a special election in 2021, which saves somewhere between $15,000 to $20,000. So this is good to be ahead of this. And it, as I said before, they have to expire before we can renew them. And we know what this goes for. If Russ Bodie was on, but I don't think he stays home more than about 15 minutes at a stretch. He's usually on a run. Russ, Brian, do you see Russ on there anywhere? Or Kevin Langley?
He was neither one are on.
He was on, but again,
Russ was on, but maybe he had to make a run and logged off.
So
Yeah, just to let everybody know, the equipment, renewing the equipment millage for the fire department allows them to put away annually X amount of dollars for large purchases of fire equipment as needed. Most of the vehicles within the fire department have a lifespan of 20 to 25 years. some a little shorter than others. But that gives us the emergency rescue equipment we need, being the ambulances. It gives us our pumper trucks. It gives us our ladder trucks. Our ladder truck is currently 25 years old. It's not that the truck, if you look at the truck, it looks brand new because of the level of maintenance that is provided for, to it. But it's outdated. It's it would be fine for a very small fire department someplace that makes 1 or 2 runs a year. But in our case, we need something that is more up to date. And that's what the millage is all about. We don't have to come back to the township for money, borrow money from the township to purchase equipment. The money is in a fund, and that's how it's used. Plus the escalating costs of other things such as the fire, the turnout equipment, the fire suits, hoses, all that equipment goes up in price every single year. And it gets used, and it has a usable lifespan, and then it has to be taken out of the inventory, out of the system, and replaced with new. That's what these tax dollars are for, and that's how they're used, exclusively for equipment.
And we're being it's an all volunteer force. They're giving us their time. They're giving us their training. They're giving us their health. Sometimes we can provide with. I think we can provide them with good equipment. That should not be an issue. Any other comments? That was a good explanation. Any other comments on or questions on the millage renewal for fire department equipment? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of renewing the previously expired increase in total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of Michigan Constitution, 0.5 mils, reduced to 0.4954 mils, provide funds for the acquiring of fire vehicles and other necessary fire equipment, raising an estimated $317,000 in the first calendar year the millage is levied. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None offered. Thank you. All aye. And Russ, keep that capital equipment program running. Let's see, millage. Again, I said we're going to have a lot of millage. I'll ask Mr. Budny to introduce the millage for road maintenance.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, now we'll get Derek working. Millage renewal for road maintenance. Shall the expired previously voted increase in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Grosse Township, 0.40 mils, which is 40 cents per thousand of taxable value, reduced to 0.3966 mils, or 39.66 cents per thousand taxable value, be the required millage rollback, by the required millage rollback, be renewed at 0.3966 mils, and levied for a period of 10 years from 2021 through 2030 inclusive, provide funds for the maintenance to roads within the township, raising an estimated $254,000 in the first year the millage is levied.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budny and seconded by.
Second.
Nelson.
Everybody got on that one. Who else giving it to?
Yeah. And Derek, if you're out there, please chime in. But
Okay, I'm going to give the second to Treasurer Benham.
Okay.
Because I couldn't sort out who chimed in.
All right.
Oh, Derek.
This road millage is what takes care of our snow plowing from Wayne County in the wintertime. It takes care of our dust control, which we're going through right now on our roads, as well as the balance of which for roads itself is $100 and some thousand usually that we get to use for crack sealing, taking maybe slab replacement, things of that nature, so that we can do something to keep our roads going as much as possible, and that'd be our residential roads. So it's something that's been used quite well in the past. We certainly would encourage our residents to renew it. It's something that is vitally needed, as we all know, our roads need a lot of help.
Yeah,
Um,
as Trustee
Eric?
Budny had mentioned as well, we use it for road repairs, but on top of that, we use it to leverage additional county dollars that are available that require a match for those local roads projects. So really, we can have funding available through this millage renewal to basically get additional funds that we would not normally be available to us, or we wouldn't be eligible for. So really, it allows us the opportunity to do a lot of extra work we wouldn't normally be able to do if it wasn't for the renewal that we're being asking for right now. As the supervisor had mentioned, this millage will take over, if approved by the voters, after the current one expires, which I believe the last collection is in December of 2020. So we're not going to be carrying two millages at once. One will take over after the other, and we're doing that right now to avoid the cost of the special election. So.
And if I can chime in the last couple of years when we had the $250,000 for residential roads from the county, there were 2 townships who did not have the matching funds available to take advantage of that. We had the money because of this. We had the money available. We leveraged that to actually it turned into well over $500,000 in repairs, and it contributed to again some of the sectioning in the residential roads. It allowed us.
One of the areas we spent the money was over by the schools. I think we put money into Gray's Drive, all along the school area. And probably we did it last fall, and we did it last summer, and we did it the year before that. So this goes to public safety too, having safe roads for our residents to travel, especially in those school zones and then residential neighborhoods where a lot of the county funding would not exist to replace those roads unless, as Brian had mentioned, we have these dollars available to match.
So by any estimation, we spend it wisely. We spend it where it needs to be spent, and I kind of wish it were a little higher, but it's what we have, and we'll hopefully the voters will join us. Any other questions, comments on this millage renewal for road maintenance? Ms. O'Connor. Uta, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Just to reiterate for people watching or later on video, this is not the same as the millage that the DPS tried to pass a few years ago for the bigger roads maintenance projects.
Yeah, that millage was,
that was, and actually
the one that failed.
Repair.
This is not the same.
No, this is our annual, I mean, it's been around for a while, and it takes care of a number of things, including road repair.
Yeah, this millage has existed for the past 9 years. It's just another 10-year term on top of that. So the amount, being that it's a renewal, is the same amount as previous years, unless there was a Headley rollback association or implication here that might have adjusted the amount slightly. It is a renewal. It's something people should have been accustomed to seeing on their tax bills for the past 9 years. So.
Okay. All right. And I think they're getting their, I think it's a good investment. Any other questions, comments? With none offered, those in favor of renewing the previously voted increase in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, et cetera, 0.40 mils or 0.3966 mils be renewed at 0.3966 mils and levied for a period of 10 years from 2021 2030 inclusive, provide funds for the maintenance to roads within the township, raising an estimated $254,000 in the first year the millage is levied. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries also. Thank you. Again, this is going to be on the November 2020 ballot to avoid the cost of a special election. And I think it's a good investment. Okay. Finance assistant.
Mr. Brian? Yeah, I'd like to solicit approval of the acceptance of the resignation of the financial assistant and deputy treasurer Annette Worth, effective August 13th, 2020.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budny. What can you tell us, Ted?
All I can tell you is she's had enough. It's time
Well,
to ride up the sunset. And she has been a huge asset. She has worked with me for 12 years, with Ann for 12 years. Her replacement is gonna have her hands full because Annette always managed to be one step ahead of everybody. So we're gonna miss her a lot and thank her very much for her service to the township.
Okay. Well, let's move with the acceptance, and then after we've accepted, then we'll express our, that's my thoughts on express our appreciation. So with that, since September 5, 2006, longer. Anyway, those in favor of accepting with regret the retirement of Finance Assistant and Deputy Treasurer Annette Wordsmith effective August 1st, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I don't know how you're opposed, but okay, that motion carries. And with that, we have a proclamation that since it's under my name, I'll have the privilege of reading for Annette. It says, whereas Annette Wordsmith has served approximately 14 years as a dedicated employee of the Township of Grosse. And whereas Annette Wordsmith has brought with her a wide range of governmental experience from the city of Rockwood and the Township of West Bloomfield, as well as local accounting firm. And whereas during her employment with the Township of Grosse, Annette Wordsmith has served as finance assistant and was appointed the deputy treasurer. And whereas during her employment with the Township of Grosse, has implemented many different processes to accommodate the residents of Grosse Township to help streamline the operations of the treasurer office. And whereas Annette Wordsmith has provided tremendous support to the Township Board of Trustees and the residents of the Township of Grosse in the most professional and conscientious manner throughout her tenure with the Township of Grosse. And whereas Township Board of Trustees regretfully accepts the retirement of Finance Assistant Annette Wordsmith, now therefore on this date, July 13th, 2020, I, Brian Loftus, on behalf of the Grosse Township Board of Trustees, do honor Annette Wordsmith for her commitment and dedication to the Township of Grosse and to our island community. And it will be it'll be a privilege for me to sign that, and I think I'll make room for Ted to get his signature there too. He's your deputy, Ted. Anything else you want to say? I'm noting goodbye to Annette. She's always been there. So anyway, Annette, good luck in retirement. You're young, you're healthy, and enjoy. Let's move to finance assistant. Well, Mr. Treasurer, this is
Yeah.
house.
Dale, maybe you better do this. You available?
Yes, sir. Ann just sent me a text. She's having technical difficulties, so I can give the explanation of the process and answer any questions.
Unfortunately, Dale is not a member of the board.
Okay, I'll
Would you like me to do it?
No, I'll do it. I need approval to appoint Susan E. Hennessy as a full-time bargaining unit finance taxing assistant at the hourly rate of $20.29, subject to the terms and conditions detailed in the July 10th, 2020 letter offer from the township manager.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budny. Now we can lean on Dale.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Obviously, if you notice the date on Annette's resignation letter was the beginning of March, and then we ended up working remotely for several months because of COVID. This is a union position, so we were required to post it internally, and we needed to make sure that we were able to reach out to all of the employees, and working remotely and fractured schedules made that difficult. So we held off on that. And once we did the posting and no one internally took it, we posted it externally. We posted the position on Grosse Connect, did a push notification, and we did a posting on the township website. We had 9 applicants apply for the job. And what we do is we take the applications, we take the names off of them, we put numbers on them, and we get the review committee together. This review committee consisted of Finance Director Ian Darsnick, who, as I said, is having technical difficulties, is unable to be on this call right now. DPS Director Derek Thiel, myself. We go ahead and review the applications, which are just that, numbers, and we get together as a group. We came up with our top 3 for each, and they were all the same, top 3. So we interviewed those top 3 candidates, and we all unanimously recommended Susan Hennessy as the most qualified and the top candidate. So the letter of offer that's included in your packet explains all the benefits. The union position started at 80% of pay, and they step up over a 5-year period. So that was broken down there as well as the employees' sick time earnings, et cetera, which is always subject to union contract. So I'm happy to recommend this hire as a very good candidate for the community. And one of the things that she brings to the table that some of the other candidates didn't is the financial side of investing, which is just one part of the position, but made her stand out within the group. So I think that'll serve the finance and the treasurer very well into the future.
Okay. All right. Dale, thank you. Thank you very much. Obviously, start date is tomorrow. So let's see. Unanimously, the candidate. Any comments, questions on Miss Hennessy from the board as we consider bringing her on as a full-time employee? We've all, those of us who've been in the office, we've seen her. She's already working. She's learning the job before she's even getting paid for it. So,
Mr. Supervisor,
yes,
I can add to that. Miss Hennessy, we had her come in as part-time. Has made very clear that this was a position that needed to be posted, and because of the schedule, COVID, and timing, we wanted to have someone involved. But as the process shows, the best candidate was selected, so we're very fortunate.
Good, because hopefully she'll be in the job for a while. Okay, with that, those in favor of appointing Ms. Susan E. Hennessy as a full-time bargaining unit member, finance taxing assistant, at an hourly rate of $20.29, subject to terms and conditions as detailed in the July 10th, 2020 letter of offer to Township Manager. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. And Ms. Hennessy, welcome aboard. Let's see, with that, let's move to, what happened to my filing system here? One too many sheets of paper got stuck in, but I will have it fixed shortly because the next one is another hire, and this one is mine. And I move that the motion is to hire a Downtown Development Authority Director, and I move we appoint Tricia Eblin as the part-time at-will Downtown Development Authority Executive Director at a salary rate of $25,913.46.
Support.
Okay, moved by the supervisor, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. Okay, background, as we all know, the previous DD director, Angela, accepted a full-time position elsewhere in March, and there was no way we were going to match what they offered her. The position was advertised via the Township website and the app. We received 8 applications that were reviewed by the DDA chair, supervisor, Township manager, moving to a short list and interviewing the 3 candidates. 3 candidates were interviewed in person on June 23rd by the DDA chair, supervisor, Township manager, joined by DPS director, resulting in the recommendation of Trish Eblin. I'll have to go out and say all 3 were well qualified, but Miss Eblin was just her resume was a little bit deeper. We thought she just brought a little bit more, but it was really nice just to have that much talent wanting to work with our Downtown Development Authority. So with that, position begins on August 3rd. It is budgeted. It's out of the DDA budget, does not affect general fund. And we have a lot going on Macomb Street, and we need somebody to steer that ship. I think Trish will do a good job. Any questions, comments from the board? Dale, or not the board, but treasurer. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to add that there's different facets of this position. Programs are one of them, event planning, but this candidate also brings recruiting, business development to the table. So those are things that we're looking forward to having this position expand and grow over time. So we're very fortunate. It was mentioned the credentials. So very, very, very pleased to recommend this candidate.
We've seen over the last couple of years, having a DDA director focused pretty much solely on develops on Macomb Street, coordinating with the rec director, making things happen. This is stuff Chairman Moran and I just didn't know how, didn't have the time to do. Angela did a great job. And our impression is that Trish will do a great job also. So I'm just recommending we approve her appointment. Any other questions, comments? I think you're going to like her. Okay, with that, those in favor of appointing Ms. Tricia Eblin as a part-time at-will Downtown Development Authority Executive Director, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Again, I think we'll be happy with her. And Trish, welcome aboard.
I think I saw her in on the meeting.
Is she there?
I think Tricia is in on the meeting. Welcome aboard.
Oh, there she is. Yep. Trish, Brian, if she, because some of you haven't met her. Brian,
She
if you
appears to be muted on camera and mic.
I think she's actually calling in also, but I don't, there's two phone numbers here. I'm not
her
sure which ones
microphone's
are.
hot.
Oh,
There she
hello.
goes.
Oh,
she's in.
Hi, Trish.
Yes,
Welcome
hi.
aboard, Trish.
Sorry,
Welcome
I was
aboard,
driving.
Trish.
I'm driving back from a meeting, so.
So best not to have the camera on.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's why the camera's off. I'm actually crossing the bridge when you were talking.
Well, we just wanted to say welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited. Thank you for voting me in.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we just looking forward to introducing you in person to your board, to Miss O'Farrell, the rest of the troublemakers around here.
Yeah, I actually went to the last meeting, the DDA meeting, but I don't think Ron recognized me because I was wearing my mask. So I got to hear the consultants present their preliminary studies. So I'm really excited to get started. Okay, good, because I was unable to attend that meeting, so I'll have to, now that we're paying you, you can bring me up to speed on where we're going with the consultants, and we'll keep things moving forward. Trish, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Welcome, Trish. Thanks, Kim.
Okay, let's move on to more of the business side of the operation, the drain repair, and I guess that will go, that's more DPS. That is a DPS. Mr. Budny. Jim, you're muted.
That's actually rec.
It's kind of, well, let's see, whose money are we spending?
They're spending, you better be spending mostly Rex grant.
Ah, okay, my mistake. I didn't know if it was going to go DPS drainage or if it was.
It's a little bit of drainage, but it's mostly
county.
County grant. I can read the, certainly I'll be glad to read the recommendation. If Jim doesn't want to.
The other Jim chiming in.
That's okay. Go ahead. Jim.
Okay.
Jim Budny, read it.
Okay. This is ask the board to approve the award of the storm sewer outfall repair at Sunrise Park to Campo Brothers, Inc. in the amount of $29,541, subject to Wayne County approval of the intergovernmental agreement for the improvements to Sunrise Park.
Support.
All right, so moved by Trustee Budny, seconded by the supervisor, and I'll let you. Who's best at explaining this? All right, Mr. Ream.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. January of this
Pretty
year, the
complicated.
Township Board approved the intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County for numerous projects. It was this drain repair, pool heater, shade structures, as well as some court lighting. And we had not received that back. We went ahead and started the bid process for all these items. And this was one item we were working on last summer. But because of changing priorities and some of the requirements, we had to start over. And by doing so, the numbers came back, and we knew going into it we might need some drainage money. As it works out, the proposal is to use $4,541 of drainage funds to do this repair, which is an outfall drain, kind of near the old railroad trestle. I don't know. I believe that maybe that's the best way to refer to it.
Trestle bridge.
Or the abutment.
Truss bridge. No,
Yeah.
trestle bridge. Sorry.
And these are where the numbers came from. Obviously, the water's high, but we wanted to be ready to have the contractor get in and do this repair when necessary. And the benefit is part of that area in the park is not very usable because of it's basically the area behind the guardrail. There's large piles of spoils with a lot of different brush and things growing out of it. So this will allow us to do some land balancing and improve the trail to the overlook area, at the same time repairing this needed drain repair, which serves the subdivisions nearby. But we weren't sure exactly what was going on with Wayne County because of COVID and because of all the difficulties with funding. So they have, at this point, has given us a verbal. They're going to be doing these projects and improving our intergovernmental agreement. But we wrote the motion in such a way that unless Wayne County signs off, we're not doing this. So it's basically a contingency to protect ourselves. But I'm confident that these numbers are solid. So at one time we weren't sure how much drainage money we would need, but now we're asking for the $4,541 on top of the grant money. And the remaining grant money is $10,500 for the pool, $18,000 for shade structures, and $6,500 for court lighting. And I believe those have been bid, but have not been opened, or they've recently been opened because of that we've held off on that because of COVID. So that should be coming forward soon as well.
The heaters have been completed.
Okay.
The pool heaters have been installed, and that went out for bid as well. So that project is completed.
All right. Okay, this has obviously been some time coming, and fortunately we've got the Wayne County grant money to cover the bulk of it. And as Dale was saying, it gives us a chance to clean up our park, our waterfront park. Eventually, hopefully, to get the universal access trail down to the park for those who can't access the park when we get the beach back, who can't access it by the fairly steep staircase. Maybe get a wheelchair accessible or mobility limited trail down utilizing some of this property. That's always been my long range plans. I know Dale, we've talked about it quite a few times.
Ryan, I have a question when you get a minute.
From the board.
Yeah. I think Kim O'Fell wrote the grant to make this happen? Is that true, Kim?
Well, Dale and I worked a little bit on this project together. As far as, basically when you put this grant together, we were allotted $60,000. And it is very, very specific what Wayne County is looking for in this grant. Mm-hmm. We did shift some gears. It came from, one of the projects was the sled hill, which we all remember. And that obviously was not part of what we were able to do. So you know, and things were shifting in rec all last year. And I'm very thankful that we were able to put those 4 projects together to benefit the community. You know, the pool heaters fell in there because it's a safety issue. The shade structures, obviously another important that serves the entire community. And the lighting out at the volleyball and the basketball courts. So we are able to play our sports into the, you know, fall, if not winter, to have those lights. And now, especially with COVID, you know, those projects, you know, are going to make sense because we're going to be outdoors even longer. So, you know, that's kind of the history of why things shifted a little bit. So, but like I said, the heaters are completed. The bids have not been open for the shade structure or the lighting. That is on my radar in the next 30 days. So that's kind of where we're at.
We're making progress. That's
I want to thank Kim and Dale for doing that. Great job.
And with Sunrise Park, you know, and again, the parks are going to be very important too. Also, the utilization of that park has been in the master plan for several years. So when I'm looking at projects, working with Dale and the commission, you know, what makes sense, what falls into the grant. Dale, I remember all those bullet points that we had to look at, and all the work that the Nature and Land Conservancy does down there. With teamwork, we can build that park looking really nice and handicap accessible as well. So
eventually.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments, questions on this grant program?
I have a statement.
Tom.
I'm not really clear as to what the $60,000 grant that were awarded, but from Wayne County. I'm not sure exactly what all that can be used for, but this drain has been an issue with Wayne County. It's Wayne County's drain. It's needed repairs for a number of years. And at this point in time, with monies short the way they are within the rec department, I just can't go along giving this project a high priority, especially when the drain belongs to Wayne County. Now, if the road bed was collapsing and that sort of thing, I would look at it differently, but that's not the case. And I just think that to use $25,000 of your $60,000 grant to repair a Wayne County drain, and I know, okay, it's Wayne County money, I get that. But I gotta believe there's other things within the rec department that would have a higher priority that the $25,000 could be used for. I have no problem with the $4,500 out of the drainage fund for a project. I'm troubled spending $25,000 when the rec department could use it, I'm sure, in many other areas. So I'm opposed to it on that basis. I just wanted to make that clear.
On the grant, would we have gotten the grant of that amount had we not included this part as part of the project?
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
The $60,000 allotment is, I believe it's every 4 or 5 years. Trustee Malvesto makes a point about, yes, that is a county drain. But if we weren't going to get a lot more usable park space out of this, I wouldn't be in support of it either. But we are going to get a lot out of it. And we had tried to work with county roads for several years to get them to do that drain repair. And while they're at it, give us more usable park, because we didn't want to develop the park area and then have them come in and tear it up because they have to repair the drain. So by talking to Wayne County Roads, Wayne County Parks, and involving Commissioner Palmero, this is the, I guess you could say, partnership we came up with.
No, I understand that, Dale. I really do. And you're trying to improve something. It's a beautiful location. I've enjoyed it myself many times. I just have a problem using township money to repair something that belongs to Wayne County. It's ultimately their responsibility, when there are so many other needs within the rec department that money could be put towards. That's my point.
A valid point. But obviously we're repairing county roads. We're doing, I guess we're just making those compromises just to make the community better. And, you know, and we can wait 5 years and maybe try for the grant then, but let's make it, I'd like to make it better. Your point's valid, Tom. Mrs. O'Connor.
Well, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the grant is Wayne County money and that we would not have gotten this money if we had not included this particular project in the grant. Right? They would not just give us $25,000 for nothing. We had to identify a project, and that's why we won this portion of the grant.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that Tom's point is there's a lot, there were other, he's saying there's other things that they could have done. I would say, you know, one of the reasons in discussing it with DPS chairman and myself and going along with giving them money from the drainage was looking at the overall good that it was going to do for the community, that they had the project. It happened to be at Sunrise Park. And that's why, you know, we felt we could kick in some money to help them on this. But Tom, you do have a very valid point. It's picking a project, and this is the project they picked.
Yeah, it's just a matter of priorities within the township, especially within rec.
Right.
But we got the grant. We got the grant. Is this part of the application? There's no guarantee we would have gotten it were this not in the app. I mean, we're kind of rolling the dice here, or we would be rolling the dice. We can make an improvement for the residents. And Kim, start compiling your list, because rumor has it, maybe in 5 years, maybe never, but maybe in 5 years, we'll get another recreation grant rolled into the CDBG grants, and who knows? It's just
right.
I don't want to prolong the debate on this, but as Dale said, if Wayne County does not buy into our proposal, then the project is off. So what happens to that $25,000 if Wayne County doesn't go along with our proposal? What will happen to that money? Do you give it back to Wayne County, or do you apply?
No, it goes to another community. It would go to another community. There are,
I'm asking a question so it's clear.
Well, there are 43 communities, 43 municipalities in Wayne County, 34 of which have populations under 50,000. So any federal grant money is apportioned through the county to those 34 communities. That's why, you know, there's this pecking order, and it used to be we got a little bit every year. Ray Hall restructured it, and now every 5 years you get a big bunch of money. Well, this is our big bunch of money. So it's a convoluted process. We are not in the driver's seat on this because we're a smaller community, and that's the federal law. It's just, and so, you know, it's a short version of a complicated process, but we're one of the 34 communities that Wayne County decides who gets the federal grant money, the federal community development rec grant money. If we were 50,000 or more, we would be directly funded by the feds. In our case, we're funded through the county. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Okay. But it's a good project. Might not be the best, but it's a good project. Any other questions or comments? Okay, none offered. Those in favor of awarding the storm sewer outfall repair at Sunrise Park to Compro Brothers Incorporated in the amount of $29,541, subject to Wayne County approval of the intergovernmental agreement for the improvements to Sunrise Park, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have to oppose, Brian.
Okay, well, it's and duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Okay, that motion does carry. Okay, now this one will go to Mr. Budny officially.
This one will go. Ditching work contract approval. Based upon a recommendation by the Grosse Department of Public Services Commission that the Grosse Township Board hereby awards contracts to Detroit Gradall and PNP Landscaping for the township's 2020 roadside ditching program. Total cost for all contracts combined shall not exceed $30,000.
Or
Okay, moved
Thanks,
by trustee Budny,
Chad.
seconded by treasurer Van Os.
And I'll get Derek in here too, but in discussing our budget this year and putting it together, and actually by seeing all of the problems we were having with water last year because of the high water, a lot of the ditches were full, things weren't draining, and we looked at this and discovered that a number of ditches, either the hole going under the driveways were completely covered or almost completely covered. There wasn't good drainage. We do know ditches belong to Wayne County, but Derek had told us when he was in Gibraltar they did this, and it's just a small program to help with a problem that's here, regardless of whose it is. As far as the residents, it is a problem, and we thought we could do something with this. What it will consist of is the grade all work, digging out the ditches and reforming them. Campo Brothers, who we already have on contract, will be taking away the spoils, and P&P Landscaping will then come in and hydro seed the ditches. And that's a little introduction. Derek, if you're there, I'll turn it over to you if you have anything more to say.
You did a very good job of explaining it. The only thing I would add is Detroit Gradall is going to be the one that's going to be doing our excavation work. They're the only wheeled Gradall private company in the area. Everybody else that does wheeled Gradall work in the area is they're usually either a county or a municipality that have their own equipment. And we did our due diligence to be sure of that. And also at $88 an hour for their operator and their equipment, it's a very good deal compared to what equipment rental and operator costs are for similar type excavation services. So Jim had mentioned we're not going to be exceeding $30,000. So as the project moves along, we'll be keeping track of where we stand from a budget standpoint. We anticipate probably about 2.5 weeks worth of work based upon the dollars that we have available. And we will basically be addressing the worst first scenario or worst first locations, more than likely starting up by Bridge Road. Matter of fact, the supervisor forwarded an email to me from a resident at the north end of the island today, who had put in a request to the county to do some ditching work in front of their home because they were experiencing this past spring actually water in their house because the ditches weren't operating the way that they should. And I think that you're going to have a lot of residents that are going to be ecstatic about seeing some maintenance being done on these water conveyance methods or water conveyance infrastructure that we have around the township. They'll be very excited to see that there's being some work done on them to ensure that they have an operational stormwater system in front of their home. So this is being recommended by DPS. It's a project that is new to this year, but we're pretty excited about for the benefit of the residents and their expectations. The residents do need to be tempered, their expectations, that is, with the amount of work that we're going to be able to get done. We're not going to be able to get everywhere with the township with the money that we have available. But if this is a successful project this year, it's something that we could see reoccurring from year to year in subsequent budget cycles. So we're going to give it a try this year, see how it works out. And if it's well received and has the desired effect, you'll probably be seeing this coming up maybe in subsequent years. So funding comes from the drainage account, and it is budgeted.
Okay. I remember gosh, it was late last winter, early spring when we had all the rains and the flooding. And I was notified by Wayne County Emergency Management, what's the status of flooding on the island? I didn't know, so I went out on a drive around and, based on some of the calls I'd gotten, emails from residents and from dispatch, we have a lot of places where ditches used to be, where they're supposed to be. So not every resident's going to be happy when I think of one where somebody put a driveway across the ditch without bothering to put a culvert. He may not be real happy when his auxiliary driveway goes away, but that's what causes the blockage and the gravity drains of these ditches. That's what causes the ponding in people's yards, the basements flooding. And we need to fix that. We need to get that water running downhill again. And again, I was surprised to see the roadside ditching program. And I thought, why have I not heard of that? Well, I hadn't heard of it because it hadn't existed now, but it's going to be a valuable program. It will improve the drainage of the island, something we need. It may reduce some of the incursion in our sewer system. It just makes sense. It should be a very beneficial program to the community. That's my spiel anyway. Oh, by the way, that afternoon driving around in the rain and the waist deep water, I give Derek a call to come out. I think I left you a message, and about 20 minutes later, there you and John Keimer out there in hip boots in a ditch, cleaning out the corner. Was it Ferry and Lowry? I believe you were out there. It was a mess, but good job. You did get it cleared. So anyway, with that, any other comments, questions from the residents?
Brian,
has a personal interest in this.
Brian, I have just one comment.
Oh, Ted, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to commend the DPS Commission for this action. I think I'm in full support. But just for a point of clarification, these are Wayne County ditches, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That's all.
Hey, Derek,
Yes.
the spoils that you're removing, will they be taken down to the airport?
Yeah, they will. We'll stockpile them, and then also we'll probably make them available to residents. There has
pretty
been
clean material. It's not contaminated material. It's good old Michigan yellow and blue clay, and whatever sort of decomposed of
leaves and brush.
It's pretty. It's organic material that like you mentioned, leaves and brush.
My second question would be, once you've I want to say cleaned up the ditches, does that include? Is there any flushing of the culverts under the driveway?
Yeah, we probably will try to work with the county to do some jetting if we come across culverts that are blocked. Because as Brian had mentioned, a lot of these haven't been maintained for a long time, and when you do the ditching work that we're planning on doing, sometimes you come across culverts that used to be there or are still there, but they've been completely buried and they're not even visible any longer. So you'll do some detective work to see where they run and try to reopen those. So the county has been responsive with doing some jetting, as Brian had mentioned in the spring when we had those high rain events. We were able to get them out for a couple of days to do some jetting work. So we plan on having them come out. It might not be in coordination at the same time with the ditching work that's going on, but at least identify those locations they need to come back and address after we're all done. So
yeah, I'd hate for the property owner to see you come and do the opening up the ditches and then the water not flowing because their culvert is plugged up, and then expecting something out of you that you can't help because of the fact that the culvert is plugged. No, you've done a good job explaining it. I just make sure that everybody listening to this understands where these spoils are going, and again,
those are both very good points. The other thing I want to make the residents aware of is we're not cutting any new ditches. These are just maintaining the ones that are already there. And the depth that we'll be going on these is basically to the bottom of the pipe. So we're not cutting them any deeper than they were originally designed. We'll be just cutting them back to what the original design was. Because what we're really looking at is opening up those where the pipe, is 80, 90% full as far as where the ditch bottom meets the pipe, reopening those to reestablish what the original design characteristic was. And then to your point, the jetting is a very important component to that, to making sure that you don't have a pond, basically a ditch with two holes that are clogged on either end, that
Right.
we continue that conveyance to make sure it flows where it needs to go.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, with none offered.
I have a question, Mr.
Madam Clerk.
Supervisor. Sorry, Derek, just real quick, you had, your proposal said there are, that you've prioritized some areas. Do you have a list of areas that you already know that you're going to? And, given the hourly expense of this, how far do you think, how many miles do you expect to get out of, these trucks at, you know, $88 an hour and $190 an hour? How far do you think you'll be able to go?
So
many
to answer your
seconds?
first question, we have fortunately a very dedicated and experienced field crew who know the island very, very well. So John has been keeping track of those locations over the past couple of years, and very heavily this past year, to make sure that he has a list. Anytime we get a complaint from a resident that's ditch related, I'll forward that to John to make sure that it has basically it's on his hit list to make sure we address those. And we've made obligations if this passes. We've told residents, hey, we have a motion in front of the township board to do ditching work. If it does pass, we will have you on the list. So we've been letting those residents know that this is something that we're planning on doing, and hopefully, you know, it passes and we can fulfill those obligations to those residents. As far as the second question, you have to forgive me. Uta, your second question was?
I'm sorry. We're just curious. I was just curious if you have an idea of, you know, how many miles or how much distance you can, you know, distance you can get out of it.
That's hard to anticipate because there's a lot of different things that can play into it. You know, what are the distance between locations that they're doing the ditching? Do we have complications associated with a certain stretch? How quickly can we move the truck? Do we have traffic issues? I think the answer that I had given to DPS, because they had the same question, we hope to do 2.5 miles, but that's 2.5 miles of ditch line. So, you know, and that's just based upon my previous experience of when we did it in Gibraltar, how far we got. But there are a lot of different conditions that can play into how efficient you can be in the distance that you go. So I like to play with this. The pricing is on time. I like to play on, you know, from a budgetary standpoint, the amount of time they'll be here. Really, the distance is kind of a shot in the dark at this point in time.
So Derek, as Ted pointed out, these are county ditches. Has the county stopped maintaining our ditches? Or I know they've done Island Boulevard in the last 10 years. They've been around, but have they just not been able to do ditch work on Grosse that we have to pick up the tab?
We've requested multiple times them to come out. It's just not a priority of theirs. They have a lot of other areas that that they need to address, and we fall far down on that list. They have been out over the past, I'd say 2 to 3 years, but the work that they did was very minor. These lines, these ditch lines, they haven't been able to keep up with the frequency at which they fill up. The requests that we've provided or put into them to address those areas that are problems have not gone answered and taken care of. So it's not been a lack of trying. It's just the assets that the county possesses are not sufficient to be able to keep up with even their high priority areas. And I'm not saying Grosse is not a high priority to them, but you know, it just really is a lack of assets on their end to be able to get to all the areas they need to be. I think if you probably talk to the county, their forestry division just in the past 15 years has been reduced to probably 1 crew where they used to have maybe 4 or 5. Their ditch line maintenance division is no different. The grade-alls that they operate are drastically less than what they have in the past had available to them. So it's just a matter of they don't have the resources, and we need to be responsive to the residents, because the residents don't want to hear the county can't make it. They don't have the assets available to be here when their house is flooding. They just want to hear that the problem's being taken care of. And that's what we're trying to be here, is responsive to those requests.
Derek, I do have one last question. Don't you have some other drainage projects scheduled?
We do.
Well,
Yep.
yeah.
And matter of
In
fact,
fact,
there's,
Tom, the next issue is a drainage project.
I remember there's other drainage projects we have in your schedule. So this is a separate project, but it's accomplishing much the same as some of the other projects going.
Yeah, actually, I mean, this is a new service that we want to provide to take care of, kind of take care of a problem before it gets into what the next project is. So we don't end up in those types of projects.
Gotcha. All right, thanks. Thanks, Derek.
thank you.
Okay, any other last comments, questions on the new roadside ditching program? None offered. Those in favor of, based on the DPS Commission, the Grosse Township Board hereby awards contracts to Detroit Gradall and P&P Landscaping for the Township's 2020 roadside ditching program. Total cost for all contracts combined shall not exceed $30,000. And all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and this is not exciting, but it's good work. It's got to be done. And while we're on the drainage subject, Mr. Budny?
Yeah, and to move from ditches to something a little more drastic, the Grosse Township, the recommendation that the Grosse Township Board approve a contract to TSP Environmental to perform drainage improvements on Swan Island at a contracted cost not to exceed $165,757.13.
Support.
Thank you, Jim.
Was that Mr. Nelson?
Yes, it was.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budny, seconded by Trustee Nelson.
And I'm gonna bring Derek right in on this. Last year we had we're going around with a couple of drainage problems, one on the north end and one at Swan Island. And we went around and around and finally came up with a project for both. And Derek, I'll turn it over to you to give them the history.
Sure. I'm not sure if there is any interest from the motion maker and the second to place a friendly amendment on this motion or not, to make it contingent upon the DPS Commission's approval at their meeting tomorrow. It wasn't written into the recommendation or the motion in this action item as you guys see it, but it's up to you guys whether you want to.
Yeah, and and thank you for bringing that up, Derek. I thought we had talked and we were going to have that in there, and it is something that we're going to talk about tomorrow at the DPS meeting. We've been over the project. I fully believe that it will be approved by the commission. The reason we're doing it this way, because we didn't with only one meeting this month and only one meeting in August, we didn't want to delay the project because we're finally to a point where we can start getting something done. We don't want to run out of summer and end up trying to do this down the road. So I'm good the way it is, or I'm good. It is going to be discussed and approved tomorrow at the DPS Commission. I have no problem with the friendly amendment.
I'm okay with that as well.
Okay, let's offer, you know what, I will offer amendment to this motion that contingent on DPS Commission approval.
Okay.
And I need a second on that.
Second.
Okay, so moved by the supervisor and then seconded by Trustee Budny to amend the recommendation.
Okay, as Trustee Budny had mentioned earlier, we had a couple of real problem areas crop up on us around the island with the drainage areas that are pretty low elevation wise. And where those present real problems are with the high water that we're experiencing. And naturally, when you are discharging to a river or a body of water that is very high with the current water levels that we have, your gravity feed storm system doesn't operate the way that it's intended. those two areas, one was Swan Island and one was at the end of the island on Parkway. So we had the engineers review these two locations, DPS did. And a matter of fact, it came to the township board and you approved having the engineers look at it and bidding the project. And they, the engineers that is developed basically a design to address these problem areas. The one that's made it kind of to the finish line is the one that was a little bit easier to engineer, specifically because the water levels are preventing engineering from happening at the north end of the island. They just can't get the topo work done on it. So you're seeing Swan Island tonight where they could get the topo done, the design done, and the bidding done on it. Really what we're doing here is we're eliminating the gravity system and allowing basically the storm system in that area to act as a closed network with a force main that pushes the water, basically pumps the water out of the system. If water levels do go down eventually, the gravity-fed storm system will have a check valve on it, which will then allow the system to operate as it was intended via a gravity-type feed. There's quite a bit of engineering that's involved in this. I've tried to do my best to kind of give you guys the lay of the land in the action item and show you how the whole thing operates and the problems that it solves. I know that there's a picture in there, and we have a lot of different evidence about the current state of the storm system out there. But it might be best for me to just take questions you might have, because there's a lot to take in here, and there's a bit to explain. And I wanted to kind of focus on what your questions are with this, if you have any.
Derek, I guess my only question is, we're putting a lot of money into drainage for very few properties. Is there any kind of matching on the part of the residents?
No, this project is solely funded through the drainage millage. It affects probably right around 12 residences in that area. But as you'll see, it's a pretty drastic problem. Anytime they have either an east wind or a rain event, especially when the water is high, you're running the risk of flooding these homes quite significantly. So the installation of this system has a pretty high level of criticality, just simply because the extreme risk of property damage in that area. So that is why this has become a priority for DPS to address. And I think that's why we move forward with including it in the budget for this year and moving forward with the design, engineering, and bidding.
Okay. All right.
Brian, when you go over the bridge on Swan Island and turn to the left, when this water is up, you probably don't go down. You might go down a third of the way, and then you're going to start to hit water.
Yeah.
So and believe me, we went over that and discussed a lot the fact that, okay, we're talking Swan Island, we're not talking a huge number of residents, but we felt it was so critical, the situation, that it was worth doing.
Okay. We're not going to let a portion of our residents wash away.
Right.
Okay. Other comments, questions? This is complicated stuff.
Just for the benefit of the residents, this was bid, it was engineered, it was bid. We did receive 4 bids on this project, and we're going with the low bidder, TSP. They have been vetted by the engineers. There's a recommendation of award from them included in the packet. They checked their references. They've done business with them in the past or had projects with them in the past, and they come pretty highly recommended. So, and there was a decent spread between the high and the low. So I think we're probably getting pretty good value for the project here through the bidding process. It's resulted in a price that's competitive for the township.
All right, very good. Any other comments or questions? All right, with none offered, Grosse Township Board hereby approves a contract with TSP Environmental to perform drainage improvements on Swan Island at a contracted cost not to exceed $165,757.13, subject to approval by the Grosse Department of Public Services Commission. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, none offered also on this one either, so good job, and we'll hopefully keep those folks dry. One more. I guess this will go to Mr. Treasurer, Commerce Park.
Ted?
Well, you're muted, Ted.
Okay, how's that?
That's
There we
better.
go.
Better. All right. It's based on the recommendation of the Airfield Commerce Park Manager and the Grosse Brownsfield Authority. The Township of Grosse hereby authorizes the expenditure of $178,900 plus a 10% contingency of $17,890 for a total of $196,790 from the Brownfield funds for the Commerce Park steam tunnel abatement pursuant to a bid from Pro Excavation.
Support.
Yeah,
Right.
Mr. Approved by, or moved by the treasurer and approved by, or second by trustee Budny. And
Just a little background.
Behind.
I don't believe Mike is here. I think he's off for a couple of days. So basically what this is the Brownsfield abatement money is a tax reclaim from predominantly the Commerce Park area. That's for all the businesses there. And over the years, it is collected somewhere in the vicinity of $230,000, which we have left that just kind of sits there waiting for a usage. Well, it turns out that a company called Pirates Cove Stowaway Company has transferred ownership of Island Stowaway Company storage facility. And they have some immense plans for expansion. Those expansions are going to come about 10 acres all the way back out to Groh Road. This company, the steam tunnels that currently run under there, of course, will have to be abated so that they can build. Most of it will be parking buildings, storage buildings over the next 10 years as their project. But they are going to lease the land immediately, and which is going to generate a lot of dollars for the Commerce Park and the Township. These steam tunnels at some time have to be abated anyway. We haven't done anything with them over the years because there was no need. We hadn't used them. They're underground. And the issue that we're dealing with these steam tunnels is some asbestos. So the abatement will be probably encapsulate either with stone or excavation and collapse the tunnels so that construction can go on top of them. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer it. If you look in your packet, you'll see what the expansion plans of Pirates Cove is now. This Pirate Cove company is big. I mean, they're out of Canada. They have several locations around the United States. I took the time to go visit 3 of them in Michigan, one in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, one of them in Battle Creek area, and one of them over in the west side of the state. And I want to tell you, these guys are very professional. They do a great job, and they are going to be a real asset.
Hey, Mr. Treasurer, as we see looking up and down Groh Road, there is a demand for storage on this island. And the guys at Pirates Cove, again, with several other very successful storage facilities, I think they know the business. I think they made a reasoned decision to open and operate a storage facility here. So I think it's going to meet some residents' need, and it's going to generate revenues. And so it'll just help clean up some of the storage issues, the blight on the island. So overall, I'm looking forward to it. Questions, comments from the board?
Just, I'd just say, if people, if the board members, in fact, haven't seen the proposed project that Pirates Cove is planning, it's well worth taking a look at. As Ted said, they're a big company. They know what they're doing. So this will help the whole project along.
Yep. And they'll have to cut the grass there instead of us.
There you go.
It just gets better. So any other questions, comments from the board on this long-awaited project? Madam Clerk.
So, and just want to add, as Mike pointed out in the literature, this still has to go through planning and work with the building department on the details. But I think everyone is very excited about going forward. And if you've seen the drawings here that Derek included in the packet, I think that's going to make a really nice frontage for Groh Road. Unfortunately, I think it is going to cost us some parking if we ever have another Island Fest. So, but we'll one problem at a time.
Yep. We can get her. Yeah, one problem at a time. Other questions, comments from the board?
I have a question.
Yeah, Mr. Malvesto.
As far as storage, are we talking RVs, boats, cars, enclosed storage that people use store away household items? Or is there any kind of bulk storage included in this?
Basically, it's going to be vehicles and household storage, household items. There's two buildings. If you look at the drawings, I think there's two buildings, fairly large buildings that are going to be climatized buildings. The Commerce Park Commission is kind of stressed to them that we don't want to see this stuff. We don't want it visible when it comes to the vehicles that they're going to be storing out there. So most of that will be sheltered behind some of the buildings that they build, and it will be incorporated way in the back over by the current island stowaway area.
Yeah,
There'll be no bulk storage other than household goods and some RVs and vehicles, I'm sure.
It's clear to us. I just want to make sure that the residents that are listening in understand that's primarily what this type of storage is going to be, and not getting into bulk storage, which can take account for many different types of items. So that's just good to clarify that, Ted. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand that, because in the Commerce Park really kind of laid some ground rules down for this company as to what we wanted, and if we were even going to lease it to them. And they assured us that everything because we don't like things that are visible down there either. We've got some architectural plans and some design plans for the rest of the site, and they really worked with us. They're a very professional company, Tom. I think if you were to go look at some of their facilities, you'd really be impressed. You don't even know their storage facilities.
Oh, that's a good thing. Thanks, Ted.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of, based on a recommendation from the Airfield Commerce Park Manager and the Grosse Brownfield Authority, Grosse Township Board hereby authorizes the expenditure of $178,900 plus a 10% contingency of $17,890 for a $196,790 total from Brownfield funds for the Commerce Park Steam Tunnel abatement pursuant to a bid from Pro Excavating. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We'll have to get to work on that, and that will conclude tonight's action items. From there, we can move into reports, and we will start. Madam Clerk.
Thank you so much, Mr. Supervisor. Am I unmuted? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Busy times for the clerk's department. As of July 13th at noon, so today at noon, The clerk's office had sent over just over 2,500 applications to the voters on our permanent absentee voter list. And as you know, the Secretary of State sent mail-in ballot applications to all of the other registered voters in our community. As of today, 3,131 applications have been returned, and 3,131 ballots have been mailed out. And to date, about 910 of those ballots have been returned voted. Deputy Clerk Friel gave me a little insight. August 2016, there were a total of 1,012 absent voters and 2,578 total voters for the entire election. So we've already well exceeded those numbers in terms of applications, and we will probably exceed those numbers in terms of people voting. As you know, our precincts are now precincts 1 and 2 at the Presbyterian Church, precinct 3 at St. James, and precinct 4 at Centennial Farm. We will, of course, be doing everything we can to mitigate the risk presented by the virus. And there will be physical distancing, there will be sanitizer and sanitation, and of course masks will be required not only of people coming into the building, but of all our workers in the poll. The same will be true for the people working at our absent ballot counting boards. There are deadlines for our absent voters. On Friday, July 31st at 4 p.m. is the deadline for the clerk's office for us to mail a ballot to a voter. But of course, you don't want to push your luck. Mail can be slow these days. And so if you need a ballot, get your request to us as soon as possible. Saturday, August 1st is the pre-election Saturday. We will be in the clerk's office at Township Hall from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. And that is a deadline for a voter to actually take a ballot out of Township Hall. Monday, August 3rd, the day before the election at 4 p.m. is the deadline to vote absentee in the election. A ballot cannot leave the building on Monday. Now our clerk, oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke too. Our clerk's office is open on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So there are registration deadlines. Monday, July 20th is the last day to register in any manner except if you come in person with the local clerk. And Tuesday, July 21st through Tuesday, August 4th at 8 p.m. in-person registration with the local clerk, but you must bring proof of residency. Finally, there are a couple of filing deadlines. If you are a candidate without a political party affiliation seeking a partisan office, then you have to file your qualifying petitions with a $100 filing fee and an affidavit of identity for the November general election. And that deadline is Thursday, July 16th at 4 p.m. And finally, candidates or local school board will file an affidavit of identity and a nonpartisan nominating petition plus a $100 filing fee also for the November election. And that deadline is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020 at 4 p.m. Now, Brian, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up during this clerk's report?
No, I just want to say that it's either the petition, nominating petitions, or a $100 fee. One or the other.
Gotcha. So the slash is an or. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I misread that. So you have to bring in a nonpartisan petition or a $100 filing fee. I stand corrected. That's it for the clerk's report. If you don't have anything to add, I see Elena Farmer, our new election coordinator, is on this meeting. Elena, I emailed you earlier today, and I'll say it out loud. You and Brian are both doing a fantastic job. I believe Gail has joined your team now part-time as well, or will be shortly. And again, you have kept up with the many changes, all the different things going on in terms of now checking the equipment and testing the equipment. I'm just very pleased, and our residents should be pleased and comforted that you are on top of it. Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, that's it for the clerk's report.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move on, Mr. Treasurer.
Thanks, Brian. For the month of May, Grosse had a total of $17,846,631. It's invested in various accounts that can be viewed on my website. It earned an interest of about $7,320 and some change. That's about an average of 0.38%. Not good, but better than it has been. For more information, just go to my website. You can see where all the money is setting. 2020 summer tax bills have been mailed. I'm sure you already know that. The owners, to the owners of home, which are due on September the 14th. If you do not receive a tax bill, please contact the treasurer's office to ensure that we have the proper mailing address and request a copy of your bill. Eligible residents can apply for extensions. The summer bill due on February 14th, 2021. Deferment applications are available online or at the treasurer's website, or you can come in and talk to Annette or Sue, whichever one's there. They'll be glad to help you. Dog passes are now available at my office for $10 for residents, $20 for non-residents, and applications are available online also. And that's all I have, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Let's move to trustee liaison reports. We'll start with Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Brian. I have 3 things to report on tonight. The first one, I want to shout out to Derek Thiel for the wonderful job he's been doing and is doing, and how good he is at it. Thank you so much, Derek. The second thing involves Recreation Department, and I would like to make a statement about the Recreation Department. I will read it. As you know, many of the recreation facilities and programs are open under COVID guidelines. Due to the governor's orders regarding health clubs, we have yet to open the recreation center. Up until this time, the staff and the CRC have focused on getting the facilities and programs open that we are allowed to open and operate. As far as the rec center, we do not know if it will be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 weeks until we can open under the governor's orders. So the CRC is monitoring the matter and beginning to prepare to open. At this time, we have not spent any, keyword any, township money on the center. Instead, we have focused on dealing with all the other programs and venues post-COVID and are now switching gears to move forward subject to the state of Michigan requirements. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kim O'Farrell, our rec director, and she will give the recreation director's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Nelson. And thank you for that statement. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the tennis center, which down the road would be the community center. And again, I just want to reiterate, there has been no dollars spent on that building. I'm focusing 100% on the venues that we currently have, the programs that we are permitted to give to our residents, the venues that we are allowed to open. So thank you for stating that, Jim. I appreciate that. Just a couple of notes. July 23rd is the next CRC meeting at 6 p.m. And I encourage all residents to start to chime in. We were fortunate. Some good things did come out of COVID. We have some extensions on our master plan. And the master plan was set to expire December 31st. We have a 3-month extension on that. So that's a positive. So I've always reached out to the residents, you know, what can we offer? What programs, what venues? I reach out to you on the phone, Facebook, those types of things. But we are going to be starting that process up here with the CRC to develop the new 5-year master plan. So I encourage residents to call, email me your ideas, your thoughts. Nothing's changed in 3 years since I've been here, listening to our residents and what they would like to have on the island. So post-COVID, a couple of programs. I just want to thank Charlie Butler for our golf program, our junior golf. I normally do this on the Elmo, but it's not there. Lots of kids signed up for golf this summer. I was out there this afternoon. We are in our final session for the summer, and there was probably about 20 kids lined up on the driving range, swinging clubs, and just seeing the kids out there. It's a great feeling. So shout out to Coach Butler. Thank you for helping us with that program. Another very popular program. I think we had 30 people in the pool. We were fighting for pool space. Our ever popular water aerobics. That is Tuesdays and Thursdays at Water's Edge Pool from 12:15 to 1. And that session will conclude on the 13th. We do offer an $8 drop-in. So if you'd like to check out water aerobics, Chad has been there faithfully. And Chad, I know you're watching. How are you? The other programs that we're able to get off the ground, and again, everything has to be followed by Wayne County, especially when it comes to the pool, CDC guidelines, our swimming lessons. Everything is up on the Facebook page. If you are still interested in swimming lessons for your kids, it's not too late. We also offer private swim lessons for kids. And the difference that we had to do this year is we were not able to offer our very beginners due to the close contact when the instructor is holding the child a little bit too much face to face. So we had to redesign doing a level 2 through 4 and a competitive swim program where there is some distance in the pool, keeping the child and the instructor safe. So we were able to get that off the ground. We have several kids enrolled in that. The parents are happy. Thank you to my pool staff. We had a lot of training this summer with COVID. Our in-services were redesigned with the lifeguards. Those that have come to the pool, we have 100 capacity out of the swimming pool. We're taking temperatures on everyone that's walking in the door. All of our staff in the rec department takes temperatures every single day. We're wearing masks until we can't breathe anymore. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So speaking of the pool, this is up on the Facebook page as well. Our pool hours, our membership fees. Today we had some requests for some additional lap swim for our adults and seniors. We do offer that Mondays and Wednesdays from 6:45 to 7:45 p.m. We eliminated the Thursdays because of the concerts, but we did add some new times, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings from 9:30 to 10:45 in the morning. Adults and seniors, this is 18 and over, can come to the pool and swim laps. Obviously, if you're a member, that's a walk-in with your membership. If not, we have a $3 drop-in if you want to get some exercise. And again, when you're swimming laps, you've got some nice distance there. And we do take your temperature when you come in. Last thing about the swimming pool, lots of calls about how do we plan a party that's safe. The pool party packages, again, are up on the Grosse Recreation Facebook page. We're having a lot of these. A lot of people are shifting gears with their parties and having them outside at the swimming pool and the pavilions. So if you're looking for something to do, this is a great idea. And the golf course, I can't even tell you how busy we are. We run out of carts. And I'm just pleased to see the community utilizing that golf course to the full capacity. And we did up our carts this year due to that was the first thing that opened during COVID. And I remember getting that phone call and seeing the governor say the golf course is open. I think I was in Ohio, and I drove 3 hours. I stopped what I was doing, dropped everything I was doing, because it seems like it's kind of last minute sometimes with some of the venues that our governor is opening. And I opened the course the next day. So we have had our challenges, but If it wasn't for my staff, Annette, Mark, Jean, and all my part-timers, Rob at the pool, I can't do it without you. So I just want to thank you for being patient through COVID, wearing your mask, taking the temperatures, and also with some of our budget cuts. We have really tightened the reins on the budget as far as our expense lines, because the revenues aren't as strong as they used to be in the last couple of years. So I appreciate the staff hanging in there with me. The last thing, the concerts. I know this was a little iffy that we were going to try to offer something to the residents, and they've been going very well. I wasn't able to attend the last one, but I know Chad was there. Trustee Malvesto, I know you've attended many of those, and everyone is maintaining really good distance. We see the masks. People are respecting each other during these concerts. They're not large crowds. We're averaging about 75, 80 people, and there's a lot of space out there. And the next concert is set for the 16th. That's this Thursday at 7 p.m. Cruisin' Jupiter is going to be playing. That's an 80s rock country band. So if you're looking to get outside in a safe environment, come up to Water's Edge, hear some music, and have a great time on that one. I'm almost done. Sorry, there's a lot going on in rec. I also, as I thank my staff, I do want to shout out a couple special thank yous. Obviously, COVID's been challenging. The Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy, shout out to that team. They've done several Sunrise Park cleanups. I appreciate everything that they do out there. I know in the last month, I follow social media pretty in depth. Some of the pictures that I've seen that were taken by residents about, some of the destruction that's going, it's not destruction, but more littering. There are cans down there. I just asked our residents, this is the one and only park we've got. And, let's help each other. Let's talk to our kids. Just put the stuff in the trash. That's all we're asking to do. We do have a camera up there. The police department monitors that. Obviously, we've had communications with the police to control that. I know our kids are bored. I have one of them. So just respect where you live. I think that's the main thing. Respect the property. Shout out to Kiwanis Club. I've been in contact with them. They did a kind of a cleanup, fix up out at Playscape. So I just want to shout out to Kiwanis and thank them for doing all the work that they've done to maintain that as well. They are in the process of purchasing some stain. And they'll be staining out there. I'm trying to get that fixed up a little bit. And thank you to the resident that called about the bees, and a little update out there. I responded to that last week. And our company did come out on Friday. They did the first treatment. They will be out tomorrow on Tuesday for the second treatment. Before I open that section, that sand area, obviously I do an inspection myself. I like to wait 24 hours after the treatment to make sure those bees are gone. So, and I did put a post up on Facebook for the safety of our residents. Don't let the kids go in that sand. It was pretty bad. So just a heads up on that. Also to the garden club, thank you so much for all the flowers. Everything always just looks beautiful. And thank you for all you do. Also to the Grosse Herb Society for keeping up with the children's garden. I see a lot of people out there using that garden. And so I'm very appreciative of all you do, because all this little stuff, it's not little, it's big stuff. If it wasn't for those groups, I'd be in some big trouble. So, and I think that transportation, I'm sorry. Senior transportation is up and running for those seniors that are watching tonight. What we did to the van, obviously transportation was basically at a halt back in March. And we recently just installed a plexiglass shield in the transit van. So you'll kind of see me driving around right now, starting to get our seniors, to their medical appointments, their hair appointments. I know a lot of the seniors are not ready to go to the grocery, and I understand. I will continue to do that shopping every Thursday for any senior resident that needs groceries. delivered to their home and stay safe at home. If that's the route you would like to go, we still offer that service as well. The marina update, all the piers have been built, so those are set. All the electric has been completed. What we are waiting on right now is a window of low water. Spoke with Bridget Hurst, I would say about a week ago, and that's what we're waiting for. She can't install those docks unless the water level is low enough. I know she's monitoring them. I know her dad's monitoring them. I'm monitoring them. We got to find that window. And all I can hope for is that we do get that window. And I'm thankful to the boaters that have stayed with us. It's a trying time this year. I know some of our boaters have left, and I completely understand that. But we're going to continue with this project as soon as we get the window to get that done. We want our boaters back because they had a good time down there. And we will get this project done. So, and I did forget one program. We do offer yoga on Tuesdays at the farm. This is outdoor yoga from 7:15 to 8:15, and we have a $10 drop-in. So moms, dads, grandmas, kids, you're more than welcome to partake in yoga at the farm, 7:15 to 8:15 on Tuesdays. And that's all I have.
Kim?
I can't breathe anymore, so I'm done. No questions.
Kim?
Mr.
Yes,
Nelson.
sir.
Only because you mentioned my name as in reference to the lawn concerts. And I don't want to appear to be self-serving, but I'll tell you what, and I know you told me Chad is responsible
Yep.
for the bands that are playing, but between the two of you, you knocked it out of the park. The people that I've witnessed there are really enjoying it. The numbers have been low, and understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every week there's a few more and a few more. But you guys, again,
Thank you.
knocked it out of the park on this one. Thumbs up. Great job.
Thank you.
So Kim, I'm tickled that you have a long report. You got a lot because you're just
It's a lot.
kind of on the fly because we've been shut down. I am tickled that you are very busy and you have got a lot going on. So well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Anything else for Rec? Okay, Kim, take the rest of the night off.
Okay.
We'll move on to.
I will.
Thank
you.
Good night, Kim.
Night.
Mr. Budny.
Yeah, I want everybody to know that I gave Kim 3/4 of my time, so I'll be quicker.
Thank you, Jeb.
We do have a DPS meeting tomorrow. It's a Zoom meeting, as everything seems to be. We will be talking about glass recycling and looking into that, as well as the third application of dust control. So tune in. You can get the Zoom information on the website, I believe, and in GI Connect. We also have a ZBA meeting, which will also be a Zoom meeting on the 28th. And as we have not done during this COVID, there will be no Q&A in July. We won't be doing a Q&A again until we can get together. So I just say, since we're not going to see anybody until or talk to anybody here, have another meeting in July. Enjoy your summer, and that's it.
One question on the dust control going on this week is that we're still going on for the rest of the week, so we can keep the residents to keep their cars off the gravel roads. Right.
And what we're going to be talking about is the third application.
Okay.
We went out for two because of rains and other things. We're looking at a third application, but it'll still be within budget.
Okay. I had questions about the third application also. Some people are very, very happy. Some are waiting for that third application. I said, we have a second application, so wait for that first.
Right.
Okay, that is, thanks. So I guess, Brian, if you could push that out again. They haven't completed the second application. Please don't park on the gravel roads. And hopefully they'll be able to be able to do a good job. Anything else, Jim?
That's it.
All right. You
Thanks,
did
Brian.
to Kim. Mr. Bloetscher.
Thank you, Brian. I have 4 reports tonight. The first is for the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. We are moving forward with a project on the extension of the bike path from Groh Road in East River, down East River along the fence to the Gibraltar Bay Wildlife across from Hoover's segment. And that is still in the planning stages. It's expected that we're going to be using gravel again, and we're just waiting for some more engineering. Thanks to Mike Duker, airport manager, for giving us some guidance and what the FAA allows and what they don't allow. And we're on board, and it's just a matter of having some engineering and planning to bring to the township board. The second thing is that the chair of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission is Brian Pollock, as everybody will recall. And Brian has been very active communicating with Wayne County, attempting to modify and improve the grade and surface approach from the bike path to the county bridge. Certainly there's nothing to improve or do right now with the bridge over West River because it's been demolished. But when that is rebuilt, the goal and the hope is that we can have better access and safer access. There's been a lot of flags of concrete that have broken up, pavements uneven, and we're attempting to make it a better place for bicycles to safely traverse to the county bridge. Second report involves the Greenways open space. The first thing is that the township engineer, Ohio, has been contacted and is arranging time for us to be able to look at trail modifications for the trail that is currently existing across from Meridian Elementary School. Want to make that trail have some engineering work on it so we can be enjoying reduced maintenance costs in the future going forward. We had a lot of rain this spring, and with everybody home for COVID, there are a lot of people out there using the trail, but it took a lot of abuse. So we're looking at that, as well as proper engineering for the trail connecting Ferry Road to Gage. That is going to be partially a new trail, and we want to be able to have that engineered properly so that we don't have flooding, those kinds of problems in the spring and trail damage.
Yeah.
Third report I have comes from the Grosse Police Department. First, great news. All of our officers are healthy and well. Nobody's been diagnosed with COVID, and excited about that. It has been a very, very long couple of months. They're working very well with fire department and all of the response and training that's gone in with emergency calls with people that have potentially been exposed to COVID or are active. So the good news is all of our officers are well. In terms of the reports that we've had regarding incoming calls, last month we had 101 calls for service with animals. We had 18 alarms that officers responded to, 37 rescues, 13 calls for fire, 128 911 calls. Total calls for the month, the 30 days, was 1,200 calls on all the shifts combined. So that's about 40 calls a day. Would also like to indicate that the great news is that our OWIs for the month of June were 0. Some months where we've had 4. I believe we had 1 month where we had 5. Year to date is 10, and last month I'm proud to report we had absolutely 0. And with citations, we had 57 verbal, and my calculation is we had 17 actual citations, which means for every one that we write, we give 3 warnings when we pull somebody over. And I think that's an attempt just to reach out to the public and say, slow down, be safe, do things a little bit differently, but please watch what you're doing. And with respect to a fourth report, I want to let the public know. First of all, had a number of questions asked regarding the use of force by our police officers. I want to set the public at ease and put some information out there that is based on philosophy and statistics. First of all, 2 things to consider: training and equipment. When we look at our officers on Grosse, they are among the best trained. Our department policy states that the use of chokeholds, neck restraints, or other similar weaponless control techniques are prohibited unless the use of deadly force is justified. As an example, you're going to stop an offender from using explosives that put other lives in danger. All of our personnel, sworn personnel, receive in-service training on all department use of force policies. Number two, in the early 2019, the FBI's National Use of Force Data Collection was launched to provide information on use of force incidents. We are proud to note that we have had no incidents to contribute, and we will do everything we can to maintain that statistic. Only about 40% of police departments have voluntarily subscribed to providing this information. We hope this is viewed as an effort towards transparency and communicates our proactive efforts as part of the Grosse Police Department. Number three, over the past several years, the department began the rather laborious process to earn law enforcement accreditation through the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, developed to enhance professionalism and police accountability. When this assessment is completed, we will have met more than 100 professional standards based on legal precedents and best practices. To our accreditation, we must complete regular training on de-escalation techniques and implicit bias. A member of the management team and department supervisor will soon be instructors in realistic de-escalation. In short, we're being proactive. Number four, and additionally, our department has been trained in an accredited mental health first aid training program to help someone who may be experiencing a mental health or substance use challenge. This training helps the officers identify, understand, and respond to signs of addiction and mental illness. Second half of the equation is equipment. And of course, we're all familiar with body cams. In 2014, the police department's in-car vehicle camera systems, commonly known as dash cams, were upgraded and replaced at great expense. In 2019, 4 in-car camera units were either added or upgraded to the vehicle fleet. These systems cover a majority of our interaction with the public. A study of the efficacy of body cams is also underway. Results will be viewed by the police department command staff, the Police Officers Association, with a recommendation as to their cost effectiveness brought to the Police Commission and ultimately to the Township Board for possible incorporation. This is not cheap. A 5-year contract as proposed by one vendor is currently estimated to be between $77,700 and $109,700. Very expensive with the department budget. It should be highlighted that cameras incur a substantial amount of abuse while being worn on the body and are used as part of an officer's everyday equipment. The longevity of the body camera's functionality is based upon exposure to elements, used, and treatment in the future. Operating on annual budget proposals, the equipment is at a great cost to the taxpayer. We have historically been asked to reduce our budgets to lessen the chance of tax increases to the community. There is, again, a weighing of the cost and a weighing of the benefits. We have currently evaluated multiple body camera vendors that would meet our department needs and work in concert with our current equipment. The platform requires individual cameras for 17 officers, charging docking stations, subscription to the cloud for data preservation, and software for retrieval and processing of multiple officers' camera systems for each case incident that may be involved. In short, it's very expensive, both in terms of time and money, but there is a proposal that will be presented in the future for the commission to review and then submitted to the Township Board for full approval. So I just want the board and the public to know that we've been very proactive in terms of training, and we're working hard to find its sweet spot for expensive equipment. And it's not only expensive to purchase, but it's to maintain and operate. And that concludes my report.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Bloetscher. We'll move on. Who's left? Mr. Malvesto.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. I'm going to keep it short. Over the last months, there's been a number of very serious emergency calls on Grosse, from house fires to personal watercraft incidents, to most recently an ultralight plane crash. It's not my intent to go into any detail on any of these, out of respect for the families and the persons involved. But suffice to say, both our police and fire have responded appropriately, quickly, and professionally. They've done exactly as you would expect them to do. And as always, my hat is off to all of them. They're very professional, dedicated. I don't know just how much you can say about these guys. They are great. So far in this year to date, there have been 289 rescue calls, EMS calls, and 58 fire calls for a total of 347 calls. So we're going to be on track for another 650 plus year. Hats off to those guys. They're all great. Police and fire work awesome together. They work hand in hand. You've heard the story before, but it's all true. So thanks, guys. And with that, I'm going to cut my report short. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Township Attorney, Mr. Sardi.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. As you all know now, we've moved forward with the Airport Commerce Park storage facility. I was fortunate enough to attend the closing with the airport manager. And all I can say is I'm pretty excited about the program. I know it was frustrating to many of the commissioners at times, and maybe some even to the tenant, but we worked very hard on it. And I want to congratulate Mike on just doing an outstanding job with it. He made sure that everything was done right, and we've got everything in the right place. Given the nature of that property and the nature of what needs to be done, it was not a simple task, and it's really going to be a great asset for the township. So with that, with the COVID-19 situation, the 33rd District Court is still conducting their hearings via Zoom. It sounds like that may continue through August. For sure, we're going to go through July, but now they're talking potentially August. Quite honestly, it's not all that bad. It's moving pretty well. And most of those minor cases that we have, as Mr. Bloetscher indicated, make it kind of simple. So it's been doing great, and the judges and their staffs are doing a great job with it. Finally, I had a couple questions about meetings and via Zoom, and when we're going to end this, and are we going to have to continue? Just to be clear, the Executive Order 115 back from June 5th, in conjunction with the Open Meetings Act, in addition to 129 from June 18th, really set the parameters for meetings. The Executive Order 129 talks about the meetings, but the limitations on the size. To put it simply, we're limited to 25% of capacity of the meeting room. And under the Open Meetings Act, we need to make it available to everyone. We can't limit the number of people that can come to our meeting. So that's the answer why we're on Zoom. One thing of note is Executive Order 129 that allows these types of meetings does expire on July 31st. We're all kind of looking for something from the governor's office real soon as to whether or not that's going to be extended. But based on everything we've seen so far, I don't see any reason why it will not. So, as always, you guys feel free to call me with any questions. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sardi. Move on to the manager's report. Mr. Ream.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just want to remind everyone that Township Hall is open. We are requiring social distancing and masks. I'm sure everyone received their state of Michigan emergency notification via their telephone today. But I also want to remind everyone that remember that you can use the drop box as another option from entering the building. There's two of them. So Commerce Park Airfield Manager Mike Duker, he was in Mackinac today. He did his 14th Mackinac race this weekend, and his team finished 38th overall and third in their class. He told me that they were at second, gunning for first, and they decided to take a roundabout way to try to win the race, and they came in third. But he said it's better than being the first loser. So the election, August 4th, Township Hall will be closed for regular business, but only open for election business only. There's going to be a lot of election workers in the building, and with social distancing, it's the best way that we can control that. and keep everyone as safe as possible. The July 24th, Friday, will be the next DDA movie night at Lions and Macomb. Keep an eye on Grosse Connect to find out the name of the movie, because I do not know yet. And last, I'd like to make some comments about the upcoming election. I understand there's been a lot of social media bashing from some of the slate against myself and the township staff, which is unprecedented. And that's why I feel that I must comment. The staff is dedicated, very hardworking in all their efforts, and they do everything they can to serve the residents. And I cannot be prouder of the entire staff. Grosse Township is a general law township, and it's funded mostly specific by voter approved millages, which are the things that we reviewed and talked about earlier tonight. And that means that as a local unit of government, we're providing these services to the residents that they agree to be taxed for. But it appears that many of the so-called slate do not understand the simple fact, but instead they attack personally. In my book, personal attacks just mean that they don't have a valid political argument, and they use negative attacks, non-rational arguments just to create false impressions and fear. Remember, it's easy to sit at a keyboard posting anything you want without being held accountable. And this just makes me think of, a social media protest by a select few because they couldn't get their way. Clearly, some of this group are not interested in the facts regarding numerous government topics that's been bouncing around. And I think simply because this facts just, they don't further their attempt at revenge. And yes, revenge. It's revenge out of unhappiness for not getting their way, and not getting their way with the township over the past several years because of police department issues. And I want everyone to know that a chain of command exists, and the chain of command was followed. And I'd rather be criticized for following the process than for not following the process. And I do not appreciate employees getting bashed or misrepresented and dragged into politics. We are here to serve the residents, and using township staff in a political agenda is wrong, and it's just not fair. And I'm sure by me making this statement, I'll be attacked, and that will just validate my concern. Being focused on one issue will not serve the residents well. I think we all know that. As an elected official, elected officials must serve the entire electorate. Unfortunately, the negative attack on myself and the staff, it makes this not the Grosse I've been part of for nearly 30 years. So I just want everyone to know, get out and vote, and I'll trust that you'll make an educated decision. And that, Mr. Supervisor, is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ream. And now it's my report. I hope everyone's comfortable. We've got a lot of real estate to cover here. Tom brought up, or Mr. Malvesto brought up the aircraft accident. And I want to read, this was important to me, obviously, as an aviator and actually a former Air Force flying safety officer. Saturday evening around 5:30, my wife and I had just made dinner plans, and then the phone rings and it's Russ Beaudry. And when I get a call from Russ Beaudry or from Chief Warnick, I know my plans are about to change. Reported a downed aircraft. They had the area secured. The sole occupant was in very bad shape. And could I come by and take a look? And just, based on my experience, made it right over there. As I arrived, the fire truck ambulance was leaving. Actually, the ambulance left, the fire truck was leaving. There was no fire. And found Officer Counts, Detective Vasquez, Officer, I'll just say Dino, and Officer Benson had the area secured, well secured, in exact compliance with FAA protocols. The area was kind of a remote area. They had secured, and Detective Vasquez had started the investigation, was taking hundreds of photographs while we still had daylight, and had already interviewed numerous eye and, shall I say, ear witnesses. So shortly thereafter, we're deciding who is it going to be an FAA or an NTSB investigation? As it turns out, shortly thereafter, I get a phone call, and it's a longtime friend of mine who was an FAA examiner, who was also in my fighter squadron many years ago. And I've known him for almost 40 years. He's going to be the investigator. So it was much rather see him under better circumstances, but we went to work on the investigation while the daylight lasted. I went and got some flashlights and a lot of bug spray. And again, we stayed there until close to 11 o'clock, getting what pictures and evidence we could, and then agreed to meet back the next morning, at which time we started getting in depth, a lot of pictures, and trying to get the wrecked aircraft off the property. The final report, and I won't go, we had some speculations, but that's going to be Mr. McKillop's job to come up with some of his final evaluation. But again, and he commented to me how professional our officers were, what a great job Detective Vasquez did, and it made his job much, much easier because he had the eyewitness reports, where they stood, what they heard, what they saw. And again, I won't speculate, nor will Larry speculate on what we think the cause is until all the data is in. But I will read Lieutenant Pellin's press release on the accident. On Saturday, July 11th, 2020 at approximately 4:47 p.m., Grosse Police and fire emergency personnel responded to the 27,000 block of Loma Circle on several reports that an airplane had crashed in a residential neighborhood. Responding personnel located a single-engine ultralight aircraft overturned at the base of a tree in the backyard of a residence. The pilot, 57-year-old Jeffrey Dean Oliver of Lincoln Park, had been ejected and was receiving CPR when rescue personnel arrived. Mr. Oliver was transported to Henry Ford Wyandotte Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. It is unknown at this time if the cause of death was the result of injuries sustained in the crash or a medical condition that occurred while in flight. An autopsy will be performed by the Wayne County Medical Examiner. The investigation is ongoing, is being coordinated with the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board. The aircraft is described as a Golden Circle Air T-Bird tandem TBT-06 with fixed wings that falls within the experimental airworthiness class. And that was, if further information, you can contact Lieutenant Pellin. That's the official release. Obviously, it's a tragedy, and the family was notified and at the hospital to get their last goodbyes. So that was all the buzz near the airport and in the area. Sorry, it was an inconvenience for the residents. They were very gracious, let the investigation go on, and a lot of volunteer help in getting the wreckage out and getting the area cleared up. So thanks to everyone for that. Trenton Planning Commission. Okay, the development or potential development of the McLeod site goes on. There will be, but the zoning issues that's been a topic of concern. Trenton Planning Commission is, a virtual public hearing will be held by the Trenton Planning Commission via Zoom meeting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020, to review and hear comments on the following. Zoning ordinance to replace the previous ordinance that was adopted on February 20th, 2007. Proposed ordinance includes the creation of new zoning districts, new and updated definitions, permitted and special uses for districts, and new requirements and regulations for the city of Trenton. The zoning ordinance is designed to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare, to encourage use of lands in accordance with their character and adaptability. In addition, a revised zoning map is being proposed to reflect created and rezoned districts as proposed by ordinance. And basically, it's going to be industrial waterfront. So what is going on in McLeod, and there will be some zoning that may extend to what will soon be the former DTE site. So Trenton is looking ahead to get the best use of the land, and plan on joining the virtual meeting. The Trenton's website will give you directions on how you can log in and see what they're discussing. They are planning for the future of Trenton. So I consider that a hot topic. We covered the dust control. Boaters, we all know the water's high. What can I say about NOAC? Please stay as far from shore as possible. It is really causing property damage. You're losing friends. And we do have the police boat on weekends. I don't know if they've written any tickets yet, but they're there to protect you, to protect the property owners. It's a whole lot easier if you're close to shore. Just keep the speed down, keep the wakes down. It'll be much appreciated. I want to throw some thanks out there. Lighthouse grant. I know that whole program should have been wrapped up a long time ago, but there was a couple of outstanding items that had to be completed. We had to get the railing replaced that the ice knocked off. We had to hang the sign acknowledging where the grant funds came from, and get proof of that to the State Historic Preservation Office. We recently got the rails reinstalled, and we had the sign been sitting in storage since the rails got eliminated. So it was time to rehang the sign. My agreement with the estate was that we'd hang it seaside. Because it's on private property, we really couldn't put it in people's lawns because nobody could see it anyway. We agreed it was a better idea to put it on the light tower itself or on the structure seaward where passing boats can see it and see how nice the light looked. So anyway, nothing's easy. I get the frame built, I get the sign mounted, but I can't get a picture because I'm standing on the light tower. I threw out just a Facebook request, and a couple people, it was a windy day, but a couple people out in boats, Marty Taylor and Diane Van Fossen sent me some great pictures that we sent up to the State Historic Preservation Office. We'll get that wrapped up. And again, thank you for just, a moment's notice. I didn't have to drag a boat all the way over there. I got the photos I needed, and I can get that thing wrapped up. So, we've discussed the emergency order. I'm curious how we're going to have 5-year-olds wearing masks, but we'll see. I can't wait to see my grandson. He'll probably have it over his eyes. But anyway, it's all part of the order, and we'll see. There is some pushback. A lot of sheriffs have publicly come out and said they are not going to enforce it. So I don't know where this is going to go. And on a personal note, I don't see this whole thing could be thrown out the window by the Supreme Court in September. So, I mean, Mr. Assorti mulls these things over all the time. This all may become a moot point, but we'll see. Courts do strange things lately. Now, all right, now I'm going to get in and continue on what Mr. Riem brought up. Again, it's the social media attacks. It's misinformation. It's denigrating, and it's just wrong. I know it comes with the job. Some of you on the board don't participate in social media. I envy you, but unfortunately, I will not allow misinformation, slanderous information, attacks to stand. I'll do my best to correct them. So bear with me. This is going to be long. It is going to be fact-filled. Everything is documented. There is predictably a great deal of misinformation and some deliberate disinformation on social media regarding the recent Court of Appeals decision against Grosse Township. The purpose of the report is to explain the causes and effects of the chain of events that led us to the situation and all the other developments that you need to be aware of. I'll begin with the disclosure that I am not an attorney, but neither are the social media experts who gladly give their opinions as if it were actual legal advice. As I expect to be held accountable for my statements, I actually rely on legal guidance from our township's general counsel and our labor attorney. I will respond to the accusations leveled against myself, manager, Trustee Bloetscher, our attorneys, and the township board with documentable myself first. I am not anti-union. I remain a member of the Airline Pilots Association. I helped organize the pilot group at Federal Express. I have paid more union dues than any 3 members of the Grosse Police Officers Association. I've been on strike. That cost me thousands of dollars. I am a believer in collective bargaining agreements, the contracts. Labor contract makes expenses reasonably predictable and allows for accurate budgeting for those known expenses. For the employee, the contract removes much of the trepidation an election every 4 years might bring. I hope we all agree that Grosse Township has an exemplary police department. Most of Grosse's current and former police officers began their careers in other communities, but came here because of better pay, better benefits, and better working conditions. This is true of the last 2 officers to join our force. Few of our officers leave before retirement, none during my terms in office. Pay and benefits are very costly to township taxpayers, consuming all of 3 voter-approved police millages and most of the township's operating millages. For fiscal year 2020-21, police budgeted revenues from all sources total $1,842,626, while expenses are $3,591,923. Total budgeted general fund revenues are $5,554,026. 65% of that goes to the police. The litigation currently being discussed is a result of almost 3 years of unexpected and unnecessary grievances, confrontations, negotiations, and litigation. The original complaint centered around a management retiree from Grosse Police Department who was upset that his health care premiums had increased. The Grosse Police Officers Association contract that provided his benefits states that a retiree will receive the same benefits that the active member receives for the duration of the contract. Seizing an opportunity to improve benefits, the GIPOA filed a class action grievance 17-37 in February of 2017 in an attempt to freeze the healthcare premiums at the point of retirement in order to avoid predictable cost increases. Taxpayers were expected to pick up the difference. This grievance was an attempt to amend the contract without Board of Trustee approval and would have expanding consequences, as the same language regarding retiree health care is found in both the previous GIPOA contract and the technical professional office, to the other union contract, the TPOAM contract. The next step in the grievance process involves the chief of police, who deferred with the statement, "This grievance cannot be handled by police management nor the police commission. The following was not denied at this step and will be turned over to township manager." Township manager and union representatives met as required by the grievance process, resulting in the denial of the grievance by the manager. The township maintained that an employee who retires under the state of Michigan hard cap program, a statutory requirement since 2011, shall be required to pay monthly insurance premium increases or decreases on the same basis as active employees. The benefit is the same for active and retired employees as stated in the contract. In May of 2017, despite being directed by the township manager and the board liaison to deny the grievance, the police commission granted approval by a 3-2 vote. At this point, a relatively straightforward issue entered an entirely new area of litigation that would become expensive and time consuming. In August of 2017, the union filed another grievance demanding compliance with the complete police commission decision, a decision that altered the contract beyond what was approved by the Board of Trustees. The second grievance was denied by the township manager and then withdrawn by the union. This action was followed by the filing of a third grievance in September of 2017 on the same matter and approved by the same police chief who denied the first grievance. This amendment to the contract could conceivably improve his benefits, a potential conflict of interest. Therefore, the chief was instructed in writing not to respond and allow the attorney to intervene. He responded anyway. The matter then moved to extended arbitration while the township also considered legal options. With deadlines for filing approaching, our labor counsel filed for relief in circuit court in order to preserve that option should negotiations fail. The township and union met on March 22nd, 2018 to discuss settlement. At that meeting, the union proposed that increases to the monthly premiums of retirees be capped not to exceed 20%. As a reasonable request and in order to avoid litigation, the township deliberated on this matter and then agreed. The union then demanded that retiree healthcare benefits be guaranteed for life, not just the duration of the contract. This was never considered during contract negotiations and was therefore rejected by the township. As projected in the Retiree Health Care Plan Actuarial Valuation Report of March 31st, 2018, the guarantee of healthcare benefits for life would add an estimated debt of $6,227,117 to the township's post-employment benefits, a debt that would crush our budgets due to the pre-funding requirements mandated by subsequent legislation passed by the state. Since the union would not drop the lifetime benefit demand, the township could not agree. During subsequent arbitration, the arbitrator reaffirmed that the township has a right to petition the courts regarding the applicability of the township's commission ordinance. This ordinance precludes any commission from any decisions that financially bind the township. The circuit court effectively ruled in the township's favor based on the township's ordinance. The GIPOA then appealed, and the Court of Appeals ruled, since the Police Commission approved the grievance and amended the contract, the Public Employees Relations Act gives the contract more weight than township ordinance. Had the Police Commission not approved the grievance, we could have negotiated a settlement and legal fees would have been dramatically less than the $175,000 figure going around. Regardless, we eventually did resolve the issue of oppressively high healthcare costs. The employee monthly healthcare contributions for all township employees began in 2011 under the state mandated Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act, when the township adopted what was referred to as the hard cap plan. Under this plan, the township was given an annual maximum allowance per employee under the state of Michigan Treasury Department guidelines. From 2011 to 2017, an employee paid $73.60 per month for a family. In 2017, the monthly rate rose to $122.44, but in 2018, the monthly rate reduced to $105.86. During the grievance, it was pointed out by Township legal counsel that the hard cap pool calculation included some employees that are prohibited from being included in the calculation under the law. Therefore, the updated calculation in 2019 increased to $374.81. Since this increase was considerable, the township worked with its healthcare provider and employee groups to create a high deductible plan, which included a health savings account, or an HSA, under the state's hard cap plan. In 2019, this new plan reduced employee monthly contribution to $22.44 and included a township contribution, $1,500 annually, into the employee's personal HSA. The 2020 monthly employee family rate is now $121.42. Surprisingly, some employees have remained in straight hard cap program, which is their option. The HSA can build year after year with not only the township's contribution, but employees may contribute as well, subject to IRS regulations, depending on their family situation and age. Since 2019, adjustments in the healthcare program have been made. There exists no basis for the original complaint. The township financial concerns, however, do remain. If the lifetime healthcare had been mandated, that $6,227,000 estimated future cost of the guaranteed benefit would require pre-funding due to the requirements of Public Act 202 of 2018. In the current year, the township has budgeted $209,611 for police retiree health care. If this becomes a guaranteed lifetime health care, that budgeted amount under the act becomes $450,350 per the actuarial valuation. We would have to make drastic changes to the police department in order to accommodate that increase. Grosse Township's practice has been to provide the best benefit package that can be afforded. The township will not guarantee a retiree benefit that a future board cannot fund and that future taxpayers may be unwilling or unable to afford. Inability to balance our budgets would initially necessitate expending our reserves, a temporary measure at best. The township would then either have to raise taxes, lay off officers, or both in order to regain fiscal stability. Failure to balance our budgets could lead to lower bond ratings, resulting in an inability to raise the funds needed to complete infrastructure projects. Further, the township could have an emergency financial manager imposed who would have the authority to modify or abrogate contracts. Finally, there remains municipal bankruptcy, which can lead to reduced or eliminated benefits and pensions. We have seen these draconian measures imposed on nearby municipalities. Your board and staff are determined that it will not happen here, as demonstrated by our new Grosse Police Department command team. Under this leadership, GIPD has finished their first year $63,000 under budget, a dramatic change from the budget overruns of the previous 9 years, averaging $87,000 annually. We have a great police department serving a great community, and on their behalf, I thank you for supporting them. That concludes my report. Again, I'll document every statement on there. I have the timelines, I have the budgets, I have the documents, I have the valuation. I'll share them with anyone. That does include my report. And with that, let's see, we have no discussion items scheduled. We can move on to, and I'm sure there will be some, public comments. Brian, did I miss anything? I've lost my agenda here.
No, you covered everything we had on there.
Okay. So with that, open up to public comment. You know the rules.
I will just,
pardon?
I will go in order of how they are on my screen. So I will start with Mark Lane. Nope. I guess he's got nothing. I will move on to Bob Zelasko.
Are we on?
Yes, you're on, Bob.
Hello?
You're on, Bob.
Hello? Hello?
Bob.
Are we there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I am not awarded the amount of time that Mr. Loftus had to speak on the issue. I'm only allowed 3 minutes, so I'll try and keep my comments brief. Mr. Loftus continues to make claims that Mr. Jarecki and I are responsible for problems that have evolved from the recent court case between the Township and the Grosse Police Officers Association. Because we, during our tenure on the Police Commission, chose to hear Grievance 3-37 presented to the Commission by the Police Officers Association. The grievance identified difference of opinion between the union and the Township regarding health care benefits. The decision to hear the grievance was made by members of the Police Commission in accordance with Article 25.5 of the documented agreement between the Township of Grosse and the Grosse Police Officers Association of Michigan. This agreement was signed by Supervisor Loftus on the 25th of April 2012. Mr. Loftus continues to state that the Commission should not have heard this grievance and that fault regarding this issue, including related costs, now falls upon Mr. Jarecki and I. On June 25th of this year, the appellate court ruled that the Commission was in complete compliance to hear the grievance and that the Township itself was in violation of the collective bargaining agreement. These claims made by Mr. Loftus are not only false, but defamatory on our character and professional reputation. Let us all remember, a true leader takes responsibility for his actions instead of seeking a scapegoat for his mistakes. Mr. Jarecki and I would like to thank our first responders, the men and women of our police department, the Police Officers Association, and the many members of the community. All of these people stood by our side during these trying times, and we will always be thankful for their support. Thank you.
Okay, since you decided to defame me, contract I signed stated that retirees' benefits are the same as the active. When you ruled on the grievance, you changed that terminology. You changed it to the retirees' benefits freeze at the time. That was not the contract that the Board of Trustees agreed to, not the contract I signed. So you can blame me for it, but I didn't amend the contract and I didn't lead it into the court cases. But who's next, Mr. Friel?
Okay, next up is Greg Karmazin. You there, Greg?
He's muted.
Mr. Loftus, are we on, Brian? Mr. Loftus, are we on?
Who am I talking to?
You're talking to Bob Zelasko.
What do you want me to do, Greg?
Done. You're done. Next, Brian.
Okay, Greg, you are up.
I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. Christina Jarecki. Okay, I will move on to Linda Stanko. I will move on to Mike Jarecki. How about Judy Maiga?
Hi, Judy Mega here.
Oh, Maiga, sorry.
Yep, nope, that's fine. Thank you,
Judy.
everybody. Thank you for all the work that you guys do on a regular basis. Anybody tuning in can clearly see that running a township is a very complicated job. There's lots of moving parts. I thank you all for the time that you put into making this a nice community to live in. Reminder again, I know you mentioned the July 22nd Trenton Planning Commission rezoning meeting. I'm going to urge everybody to check out a Facebook page called No Intermodal Shipping or Heavy Industry on McLeod Steel Waterfront page. Sign the petition that's there, write letters to the Trenton Planning Council, appear for the Zoom meeting on July 22nd. at 7 p.m. We need to make our voices heard, encourage any people that you know who live in Trenton to do the same. There's no reason for Trenton City Council to change the zoning right now before Crown has even submitted a plan for the site. So that parcel should be omitted. And we need to let them know that it's important to us that there not be an intermodal shipping port on that site. So please be active, do what you can, use your voice. And don't forget that July 31st is the deadline to run to turn in your paperwork to run as a precinct delegate through on the write-in ballots. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Maga. Thanks, Ms. Maga.
Okay.
Hey, excuse me, Brian, for real?
Yeah, yes,
This is
Mike.
Jaracki.
Yes, go ahead.
Just one point of clarification, because we could spend a whole bunch of time on this, be real redundant, but I'm actually looking at the 10-page decision by the Michigan State Appellate Court. And I think Brian, once again, is a little confused. The term is the same as what they were paying at the time they retired. It has nothing to do with what the active employees were paying. So Brian, please quit distorting things. Just be a leader, stand up and say, you know what? I screwed up. I was wrong. We wasted the money. You have a hell of a lot more respect for the community. But it's time, and Dale, forget it. Nobody never said anything bad about any of your employees. You, yes, because, you know, there's a lot of material there, and I won't go into it tonight. It's getting late. But it's about time you guys own up and act like real leaders. Thank you. Bye. I'm done.
Okay, Brian, next, please.
Okay, Doran Zarowski. Okay, and we'll move on to Angel George.
Hi, this is Angel George. I've lived on the island for 5 years now, and this is my first Board of Trustees meeting. It was very interesting. I appreciate everyone for participating and sharing. I want to do more. I wanted to say that I appreciate the use of the Twitter feed, as I don't much care for Facebook because I don't like how it tracks you. So I wish there was more information put onto Twitter on what's happening on the island, or more information shared on the actual township webpage calendar of what's happening. I would rather get that information from the township webpage than from Facebook. That's just me personally. And I wish also that there would be more sharing on Twitter. And as I said, I don't know about Facebook, about the US Census. I worked for the US Census 10 years ago, and I know how important it is to get funding for your communities to have the census filled out. I know a few months ago, there was postings every so often of how many returns there had been on the US Census form. And I found it informative, and I try to retweet information on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Angel, first of all, thank you for reminding me about starting to get the information back out on the census. For those of you who haven't yet responded to the census, you can do it online. It only takes a couple minutes. It took me less than 5, and you can still do it online. A lot of the door-to-door may or may not ever happen with the COVID restraints. Do you have Grosse Connect or push notifications?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you find that useful?
I very much like that. I did get the phone calls too about the person this past weekend that was reported missing. I think that could have come across through the push notification if you guys have that, because I don't answer phone calls from numbers that I don't know. So I think if that was put in conjunction, that might work.
Okay, the firefighters found the guy pretty quickly,
Yes, they did.
and he was returned safe.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Angel, will I guess I'll see if I get Mr. Friel to teach me how to use Twitter.
Great. And looks like we have one more. Mark Mills. I'm not sure.
Maybe that's it.
I guess that's it. He keeps putting his hand up, but he's still muted. I'm not sure.
That's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't. I keep asking him to unmute, and he just keeps putting his hand up. So I'm not sure what to do with that. So, okay, that's all we got.
Now, if that's it, any other comments, questions as we wrap up tonight's board meeting? If none,
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
okay, moved by Trustee Budny, second by Treasurer Van
Hey,
Ost.
Carl.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none offered. We'll call the meeting adjourned at 24. I want to thank everyone. Thanks for listening to my recap. I will provide written copies and the documentation to back it up.
Oh,
Get Mark Mills aboard.
yeah, it looks like Mark Mills did get on. Mark, you ready?
All right.
Yeah, I apologize. You know, obviously it has been a late night, and I do have a lot to say. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be refuted by the board that's currently in there. There's a lot of mistakes been made with this current contract. I saw about 3 minutes.
Do
Is that
we have
correct?
to reopen the meeting to do this public comment?
Ah, I see. Okay, no, I understand. Let's go and close
No,
the
no,
meeting.
Just listen.
No, that's fine.
We
we'll
want
close
you
the
to
meeting.
speak, but we might have to reopen the meeting.
To reopen the meeting.
Mr. Assorti, do we need to
Yeah, you
reopen
need
the
to
meeting?
reopen the meeting.
Okay, but moved by Trustee Bloetscher to reopen.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Everybody have a good night. We'll discuss it another time. Thank you very much.
Give me a call, Mark. All right. The meeting stays closed. Again, thanks everyone. Those of you out there haven't finished your census, do your census. It is important. Again, 24. Have a great evening and see you soon. Careful out there. Wear your mask.
Stay safe.
Good night, all.